All right. Well, welcome to a Cardinal House AMA. I'm Chris, and we have Kadena hashing on today. It is currently September 23rd, 2022. It's going to be a good one. If you guys have seen any of the other NFT groups that have some kind of fractionalized mining involved, it's there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff today. But we do start things off differently, as you all know. So if you wouldn't mind heading to the AMA polls channel, we'll be going through some questions that'll get to know you a little bit better. And then also just to, I mean, in my opinion, it's the most important thing to get to know the team behind a project, because a good project might not succeed with a bad team behind it. Likewise, a bad project can succeed with a good team behind it. It's the most important aspect. I mean, if you think about Elon Musk running a project, I always bring up that example, but if you think about him running a project, you're probably going to, throw money into it because of who he is, not necessarily because of the project, right? And so just to get to know you a little bit better, just on a personal level at first, a couple of just interests, things you like, don't dislike, and then getting into some motivations and things. So, um, if you're ready, I'll kind of go through them with you here real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Fire away, man.
Awesome, awesome. So, do you, well, like I said, we start off a little bit more random. So, do you take hot or cold showers?
Oh, hot for sure. I hate a
They're
cold shower.
it's not the easiest thing to get into. I will
No,
say that
I've heard
much.
I've heard some people doing it for like some therapeutic reason, and I'm like, yeah. Look, my wife and I went on a trip. I don't know, was it 8 months ago or something, and we had this spa day. And as part of the spa experience, you had to dunk yourself in this ice cold water. And oh my gosh, it was just absolutely brutal. So no, thank you.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I know it's very, very healthy for the body to go through like the extremes, both hot and cold. Um, but yeah, cold showers can be tough to get used to. Do you prefer books or podcasts?
Podcasts. Yeah, I like the idea of reading, and I have read plenty of books in my
Mhm.
life. And you can learn a lot from reading books, but I'm more of a listener. So the YouTubes and the podcasts and um, um, short reads. That's more my preference.
Gotcha. I will say in today's day and age, it is far easier to go into listen to a podcast on your way to work, on your way back, or whether you're at the store or just, doing the tedious tasks. So things
That's
are
right.
very, very busy now. So I 100% agree there. Any kind of podcast you listen to right now? Or what's the thing you're listening to?
Well, I'm so deep into the mining realm. I'm constantly reading articles about um, efficiency improvements,
Mhm.
the state of the energy grid, and and how Congress is approaching it, and all that kind
Yeah.
of good stuff. So, I've got my wife tells me that. So okay, so when we go in the truck
Uh-huh.
and I plug in my phone, there's been a change recently to the application that allows you to use Google Drive and the maps and
Uh-huh.
all that stuff on the phone. So now it every notification that comes through, it pops up on the screen and makes a little ding sound, and it's so annoying going down the road, especially on a lengthy drive. She's like, I do not know how you keep up with all of these notifications, and it's true. So I plug into sources that I need, and very few that I enjoy. Some like some flight stuff. I'm an aspiring pilot, so I,
Gotcha.
that's some things that I do for fun. But yeah, it's a constant notification from morning to night.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think most people are in line with the podcast bit, but the constant research is definitely a very true thing in the space. If you're any kind of, project lead, like you're constantly just researching the things coming out, especially in your space when there's
Mhm.
always something new with efficiency, right? It's less so about the business, but the returns are even more so the important piece. And then also the regulation. Like that is massive.
Yeah, there's many pieces to this puzzle, and you
Yes.
have to stay on your toes.
Yes, exactly. Okay, next one. Would you rather be the best in the world at something you love doing, but never be able to do it, or be the worst at that thing and always be able to do it?
I'd have to go with the worst and be able to do it if you love it.
Well, like let's say you were able to do it first time, right? And that's how you became the best. Um,
Okay.
I would have to agree though. I would rather still be able to.
You,
For
you know,
sure.
I've always I've always been the kind of person that rejects useless information,
Uh-huh.
and it really it's kind of detrimental in a marriage.
What you
It
consider
causes
useless.
some yeah, because there's lots of things that are said throughout the day, and if it doesn't have any significance to me, then I just disregard it. But when it comes to things that I enjoy and things that I am passionate about, I learn very quickly
Mm,
and really put 100% effort into those sorts of things.
gotcha. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I think that is a very good thing, being able
Yeah,
to learn
I
quick for
often
your
say
passion.
that my wife is she's my cloud, right?
Uh-huh.
She's the cloud. She's my Dropbox, and someone will ask me questions about where this happens and what that, and I'm like, I really do. You have to talk to my wife. I don't know. I just work here, man. That's all. I just work here.
I don't know the answers. Um, would you rather be an average person 1,000 years from now or a king 1,000 years ago?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have an interest in both, actually.
Okay.
Um, I'm a I'm a history buff. I love our past and where we came from. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the history of human beings. And oftentimes I yearn for a simpler way of life. Where you, when the sun went down and and you only had candlelight, it was time to go to bed, and then you wake up in the morning and you did more wholesome things to for entertainment. But at the same time, um, I'm a huge space nerd. I like everything to do
Mm,
with space, um, and uh, and I often wonder where are we going to be 1,000 years from now. I'm just hoping that I'm alive to see the first person land on Mars. That's a big event for me
hmm.
in that sort of passion. So yeah, that's a really tough one. I could go both ways on that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I would expect it to be difficult. Awesome though. All right, next one we got or last one. What piqued your interest when you started mining? What was that thing that you latched onto that made it what it is to you now?
Well, it started very simple, I guess. It was very intriguing that you could plug a machine in and at a very, very basic level convert electricity to usable coin. And it would produce more than the electricity that was going into it.
Mhm,
So that was kind of the very basic thought pattern was like, wow, this is this is very simple, but and a lot of people fall into that trap, especially newbies coming in. They see a miner making a lot of money and they're like, oh, how can I get my hands on that? This is going to be the easiest business I've ever done. Well, you fast forward some years and my gosh, you can really sink some money into this and lose your tail. Um, so there's a lot of intricacies in it, and it's not as simple as just plugging a machine in and cashing in the profit. Um, so that really started intriguing me more, and I thought, well, okay, well then there is more to this,
mhm,
and as you go with experience, you make some mistakes. I'm 6 years into this. I've been mining for 6 years, so at some point, I just realized that, well, back up a little bit. All the ways in this last bull run, my entire plan during the whole last bull run was to cash out some cryptos and get a pot ready to launch a farm, a crypto farm in the bear market. But at some
mhm.
point throughout that journey, I started realizing that look, I have enough experience in this that I can actually help the little guy come into this and not have to worry about all the hassle and lose all the money and shell out tens of thousands of dollars to learn how to get into this space. And it started morphing into what you see now with Kadena hashing.
For sure, for sure. No, that's really awesome, and I like the approach that you're taking with the trying to help Well, obviously, it's become a business in itself as well. But I mean, businesses need to provide value, or else I mean they they wouldn't be here, right?
Yep,
Um,
that's right.
and I kind of skipped a couple questions, so I'm going to go back real quick.
Yeah, no worries.
So kind of branching back, do you think nodes or mining is better for the average user? Let's say they don't have the option to put money into a project like Kadena hashing, getting into it themselves.
Well, I mean, nodes are nodes can be very complicated.
Mhm,
Let's take Flux for example. If you don't run a Flux node on host nodes, which does it all for you,
mhm,
you have to set it up yourself. And anybody that's interested can just look up how to set up a Flux node. And I got to tell you, it's no easy feat.
mhm,
It's a very complicated process. So it's, in terms of real nodes, actual nodes that you have to stand up, you have to really want to do that in order to get in there and learn it and be successful with it. And I guess maybe it can be um, a little less expensive. Like for example, with the Flux, if you own the token, you still own the token, right? It doesn't cost
mhm,
you anything to set up a node other than a server cost.
mhm,
So you can cash out that at any time and get your money back. So from that perspective, I guess it is uh, more cost effective. I mean, it's not as profitable, of course. You don't
mhm,
get near the ROI that you would in mining, but yeah, I think the NFT is the way to go to let me and my team worry about all the headaches, worry about all the
mhm,
curveballs that come all the time, and study this because listen, I do this on a daily basis,
mhm.
and it's not work to me. I love it. I love this stuff, man. So it's not like I'm doing anything or going way out of the way for people. I'm doing this because I love it, and people can take advantage of that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, so next one we got NFTs or tokens in general.
Well, it depends on if the NFT has utility. I've never been a fan
Okay.
of the JPEG
Mm-hmm.
NFT craze. I just, I guess I'm a bit of an old school. I'm like, I just can't. I just can't see it, man. Um, to each his own. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, the tokens. But if the NFT has utility, and that's what I'm seeing now is actual utility that's being launched in the NFT space. And it's a beautiful thing to see because the NFT technology is really brilliant. And it's a perfect medium for us to launch a contract or anything like that and do things like Kadena hashing and the others that you see popping up around the space. So I like that trend and I hope that continues.
For sure, for sure. That's a very good take on it. And then now the very last one. If you could only buy miners, NFTs, or coins slash tokens for the rest of your life, which would it be?
Miners, that's easy.
I figured as much.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. um, all right, well, sweet. Well, now that we kind of get a feel for for some of your background, I do want to dig a little deeper into who you are and what you do in your experience because I know you mentioned that there is a huge learning curve for mining. So where did that start with you and kind of where are you at now?
Well, it started at not such a great time, honestly. I lost my butt when I first got into mining
Hmm.
because I started getting in towards the end of the bull run in 2017, and yeah, I shelled out a ton of money and lost my behind when that thing crashed.
Hmm.
So that was my welcoming committee to the mining world. But I'm the kind of person that is able to take a step back and say, okay, well, that was a huge mistake. What did I do wrong, and how can I do better? So then I had to analyze: is mining going anywhere? Is this thing going to be around for a while? Because I saw the miner prices drop and all that stuff. The machines that I just paid $11,000 and $12,000 for were going for oh my goodness.
I assume his daughter's back up.
Are you there?
Yes.
Hold on. The strangest thing just happened. My computer just shut off, and you can still
Oh,
hear me.
okay. Yes, I can.
Oh, that's
Never
so
mind.
wild, dude. Everything is off. Like, I don't know how I'm. Okay. So, anyways, I have no screen on. This is so weird, but I'll keep talking, I guess. So I analyzed whether mining was going to be around, and I was seeing the miner prices come down, and I thought, look, if I see a future in it, then then I take a step back and I look at it from the outside looking in, and I decided that okay, that hurt and that hurt a lot, but I'm just going to keep going. And uh, it was been a whole different experience from then. Once you learn the cycles of cryptocurrency and the ins and the outs and how the prices of miners go skyrocket and go through the roof during a bull run, you learn very quickly that this game comes with patience. You have to be very patient and make very strategic decisions. Um, and you can't overspend on miners because that's the fastest way to get wrecked in this industry. And that's why you see mining farms going bust. When a bear market comes around, it's because they over
Mm-hmm.
leveraged themselves and they actually borrowed money on the miners that they had to buy more miners when they were at top dollar. It just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And that you put yourself in a really, really bad spot there.
Yeah.
Uh, for sure. So when you started, was it in Kadena mining or something else entirely?
Oh no, Kadena wasn't even a thing when I started. No, it was
Okay.
Bitcoin. Yeah, it was all Bitcoin.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Very, very interesting. Um, yeah, that's really cool. And I think that you definitely nailed the problem on the head with as far as current mining groups over leveraging during that bull and
Hmm.
coming back down to the bear and it crashing. And it is kind of I think a good thing to most people that you have that experience of knowing what it's like to crash. You've lived through that. You understand what it is, what happens when the market takes a turn for the worst and you're starting now, in the building phase. So that is a very, very good thing for
Yep.
sure. And kind of moving forward then, do you want to dig a little deeper into Kadena? So I know we've talked about, and I assume people have gotten the gist that you guys are a NFT mining group. So purchasing an NFT, what exactly does that NFT give you? If you want to elaborate on that a little bit.
Okay, well, yeah. So we're focusing solely on Kadena, especially in this first farm, because the profitability is just unparalleled when you look at Bitcoin or any other proof of work chain in these times. But along with that comes a level of risk that up until recently was very significant. And the reason that the risk level has dropped significantly now is because Bitmain has just come out with a new KA3 miner, and it's a giant leap in technology from all of the other Kadena miners that are on the scene right now. And it's such a leap that I'm pretty confident that it won't be outdone for at least a year or two. And that's really, really good news for us because that's going to level, it's going to have an immediate effect on the difficulty, which is going to be bad, but it's going to level off and become much more reasonable. And also, what's going to happen is the price of all the other Kadena miners on the market are going to fall through the floor. It's going to be more realistic. We can proceed with much more certainty and clarity and security in our position for mining Kadena. And yeah, so it's just a young chain. It has a giant upside potential. Through some of our analysis in our white paper, we figured that if it could just reach the median value of the last layer ones in the last bull run, we're looking at about $129 price. And if we hit that in Kadena, I can tell you very confidently that NFT owners are going to be over the moon excited.
Yeah, for sure. If if that were to happen, I assume people would be over the moon. I mean,
I
keep in
mean, but
mind, guys.
that's a
That's a,
bull case, right? I mean, let's bring it
mm-hmm,
back down to earth. Even at $25, look, it ran up to $28 in the last bull run
mm-hmm,
on speculation alone. There was nothing built on Kadena.
mm-hmm.
There was no use case for it. It was just a technology that existed and a coin that you could mine. And it ran up to $28.50 on pure speculation. So this time around, they're doing a lot of building. They've just put out a $100 million grant program. They're bringing on people, devs and dApps and exchanges and everything else. So this next bull run is going to be a whole different picture.
Yeah, and just for you guys' information, Kadena right now, I'm looking at it right now, is about $1.40 ish.
Right.
And so yeah, if we match those prices from last run, I mean, we're sitting at, I mean, what was it, $25 almost $25. So we're sitting significantly lower than it will be, like
Yeah.
15x down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Significant.
yeah. So
Yeah,
so
I
it
mean,
is.
it's a tremendously undervalued chain. One of my favorite quotes by the CEO of Kadena is that Kadena is the only blockchain that can process the world's transactions, and that's a giant statement. I mean, you think about the trillions of dollars that passes hands on the daily in the forex market alone, or Wall Street, or all of the transactions that happens throughout all the banks in
Mhm,
America, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you're bullish on blockchain, then you should be very, very bullish on Kadena.
mhm. And I know the Kadena rewards in general are extremely high compared to other mining, uh, other proof of work miners. And
Right.
so, do you want to dive into that a little bit, like what the difference is in the like and it can be an ROI based on prices, now or whatever it might be, but just compared to the cost of miners uh for other networks, what
Yeah.
is Kadena looking like?
Well, Bitcoin is awful right now. I mean, I love
Hmm.
Bitcoin. It's the father. It's the one that started this whole ride, and I'll always love Bitcoin. But to mine their coin right now, it's very incredibly difficult. I mean, you spend, I don't know, $6,000-7,000 on the latest generation miner, and it makes $2 a day. I mean, your ROI is just astronomically long. Uh, so it's really difficult. Now, of course, those coins will be worth more in the future, and there's an argument to be made that just it's I guess it's more stable and secure because Kadena is so new in comparison. But I've always been a high risk, high reward kind of person. Um, and the Kadena chain is so new. Look, made a prediction in the white paper, and it's already coming to fruition. It's not far away, I don't think. And that is that one day it will be impossible to mine a whole coin, one Kadena, with the most efficient miner on the market. And with the new KO3 coming out, it's really rapidly putting us in that direction. So the for every Kadena coin that we don't mine today, somebody else is going to get, and it's almost a race to get there and to stack as many of these coins as possible, because one day in the future they're going to be much harder to come by, and I really wish that you had, I liken it to Bitcoin back in the day. I mean, you could mine 30 of those Bitcoins if you mined a block with your CPU on your computer. I
Yeah.
mean, just think about sitting on those coins, for 10 years. And I think we're in the same position here with Kadena. If you can mine all of these coins and you just sit on them and be patient, it could be your retirement ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, do you want to dive a little bit deeper now into some of the, not tokenomics, but some of the specifics around the NFT, for example, fees, electricity costs, all those kind of things that go, out? Because obviously there are expensive costs to mining in general compared to, proof of stake, validator
Mhm.
nodes, and things along those lines. So, if you wouldn't mind diving a little bit deeper into some of those costs and how NFT buyers might uh, affected by that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So the I came in, and the forum that we have, this guy, he built this thing out in the last bull run. He made the same mistake that I made when I first started this thing, and it's easy to do. But he built out this farm, and he had one step to go, and that was install the transformer, and then the prices fell through the floor.
Hmm.
So he has a facility there ready to go. It just didn't have a transformer. So I told him, look, I'll come in and I'll pay for this transformer outright. And it cost me $76,000 and some change. And for that, we get 2 years rent free, so no overhead costs in terms of lease. And he also was lucky enough to secure a 6 cent per kilowatt hour for this farm for 5 years, which is a giant deal because
Hmm.
electric rates are just skyrocketing across America now, and Europe and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So the beauty of this thing is that we can operate with 10 miners, or 100 miners or 700 miners. It's profitable either way. And that's the beautiful thing. It's all by design. Uh, so there's little to no overhead. And our future is directly tied to the NFT owner's future. So we're highly incentivized to make this thing work because if we're not making money, then nobody else is. But if we're making money, so is everybody else, and that's for life.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you kind of hammer down the perpetuity bit. I know, like on your website and throughout the white paper. You want to explain a little bit about that, like how you differ from, or how miners, I guess, in general would differ from something like a node?
Sure. So a lot of the mining opportunities you see out there today are basing their NFTs on hash rate, and that's all well and good if you want to do that. I don't have anything against that, but we took the bold step of tying our NFTs to the success of the farm. So there's a reward pool, and you get a percentage of that reward pool based on whichever NFT you own, and that means that as also a piece is cut out for treasury. So, and we keep our treasury in KDA because we're super bullish on KDA. But the whole intention here is to start selling that off in a bull run so that we can have a war chest going into the next bear market. So then we can just refresh all of the equipment because by then it'll be outdated. We can sell off all of that equipment in the secondary market, refresh all the equipment with treasury funds, and we don't have to ask anybody for any more money. And that's just the cycle. And that's how you keep running this thing off into perpetuity and without having to ask your NFT owners for more money.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the fact that you guys are really trying to have this as a, lifelong thing. Like for life, we will be mining, and however long, like Kadina's is kind of be, however long Kadena is being built on, you guys are going to be providing real value to the NFT holders, right?
Yeah, they're mineable for 100 years,
Gotcha. Okay, so yes,
longer
so
longer than I'll be alive.
yeah, so it's a very long time. And
Yeah.
are there uh do you want to go over, I guess, some of the reward structures, because you have three separate tiers for your NFT, and they all provide a little bit different, a little bit more for the higher end ones. And you want to go through exactly what you're getting for each, because it's a little bit more complicated than a standard, mining project where you have, like, some fees taken off the top. They go for electricity and for, paying the team and whoever's working the actual rigs. But do you want to dive into some of the actual percentages as far as that goes, and then the differences for the NFTs after?
Yeah, we give the percentages that we put in the white paper are based on if all 15,000 NFTs are sold. I mean, it was just the easiest way to do it. But it is actually a dynamic formula. So
Hmm.
if there's only been, 500 NFTs sold, then those percentages change. And it's a dynamic formula. So that way your earnings remains about the same, whether we sell off 15,000 or not.
Hmm.
The only difference is that if we sell off 15,000, then we have a much better chance of expanding, and that's where some extra benefits comes into play. So, for example, for the Max NFT, you get 6% of any future farms. That's if we build it with our own money, with our own profit. As a thank you for helping us to get there. If we take all the money that we've made and then we put it all into a farm and we risk it, then we're going to give our Genesis owners 6% of that money from farm 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 15, however many we can
Hmm.
do. And that's only split among 750 NFT owners. So that's really the best one there. Plus, each NFT gives you a slightly better ROI. It's not a
Hmm.
massive leap, but so the mid tier, the pro, it'll give you 3% of future profits, and then the light will give you 1% of future profits. And really the long term value in these things. But for the short term, um, our old projections say that at about $4 Kadena, you'd ROI in around a year, but those projections are going to be updated in our re-release of the white paper that should be coming out in the next week or two. Um, because the miner prices have just fallen through the floor, and that drastically changes all the projections.
Gotcha. So what are as of now, how are the projections looking? If you had to just guess off the top of your head, right? This might not be the most accurate, but
Let me look. These don't have 100% of the updated numbers, but it's improved. Um, let's see. I can't remember. Let's see what it was the last time. It's improved by probably 10 or 20%.
okay.
Um, because although the minor prices have fallen further,
Hmm.
the difficulty has went up dramatically since we did these calculations, and both of those calculations are very significant data
Hmm.
points in our spreadsheet. So yeah, I hate to quote it because I don't know exactly what the old numbers was. I wasn't prepared for that question, but everything everything will be updated in the re-release of our white paper.
Okay, yeah, no worries, no worries. And I know that there's some complicated formulas that go into
Really
all
is
that. So
complicated. Yeah, honestly, it's not very straightforward. It took us a long time to figure this stuff out.
gotcha. Yeah, I'm sure. And so now, I think that you guys also have some interesting pieces on the strategy of going for right? The there are a lot of groups out there that are doing NFT mining projects are kind of the cool thing in the block right now, right? Like you see Hydra Whales, Ace Miners has theirs. You see, I mean, there's a handful, including nodes as well now.
Yeah,
And so with that, what is kind of the thing that you think that you guys are providing that other groups aren't, or what is that one piece that you guys are bringing to the table that separates you from some of that competition?
sure. Well, truth for one thing, we're not all Wagme and Moon Boys. I put a lot of emphasis on telling the truth
Hmm.
about the space. And whereas other people they try to hype up their hash power or whatever that's going to be making nothing in 6 months to a year, um, we've tied the success of the farm directly to our success. And I've invested over $250,000, actually probably closer to 300,000 at this point. I've committed to paying for all development costs out of pocket of not only Kadena hashing, but Kadena KH Miner Marketplace and future endeavors that we plan to vertically integrate. We take 100% of NFT um, proceeds and put them towards miners. We don't take a single dime of profit. We are sacrificing our earnings for 6 months, myself and the partners,
Hmm.
and we're putting all of our profits into treasury, and we'll continue to do so if it needs it.
Hmm.
So the commitment that we have to make this thing work and to hash at the best efficiency and the most profitably is apparent because I've got a lot riding on this thing being a success. Whereas if you're selling a hash rate, you don't really care. You get the extra hash rate for free that you don't sell, and they make what they make. Where it's a
Hmm.
completely different scenario over here.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then I guess one of the biggest pieces, I think, especially considering the market, right? We've been chatting about, all these prices changing, the price of Kadena going down significantly. Right? Ideally, you purchase an NFT and you hold until the next bull run. And I mean, you'll know it when the run comes, right? And then that's when you would sell a large bit of it because compared to the prices, even half the prices, with like the markets are down so far, we're even going up 50% uh, would not even be the previous all time high, right? Or
Yeah,
even doubling. Sorry, even doubling wouldn't be the previous all time high. But one of the things I really want to stress is projects having a plan for an extended bear market. And what is your guys' plan that if things don't go extremely well? Because this is a great time to be going into mining and validator nodes, in my opinion, because of now is the time when you want to stock up on these things while the conditions are poor, while people are not doing it, because it's an expensive thing to get into if you have no experience, and it's not it's not a sexy thing right now with the market being what it is,
right.
right?
Right.
People aren't being new investors, new buyers into these miners, new, they're it's not an attractive prospect. So what is your plan if, you know, preparing for the worst, praying for the best? But what is the plan if, let's say, only 1,000 of the NFTs get minted? Is there a way? I know you mentioned that you guys would be okay, but how are you guys navigating that space?
Well, the beautiful thing of mining Kadena at this point is it's profitable, right?
Mhm.
We have a very cheap electric rate uh, and a setup to where we're not paying
Mhm.
a single penny for lease. Um, so that's the beautiful thing here is that if we only sell 1,000 NFTs and we only buy 1,000 NFTs worth of miners, it's profitable. For an extended bear market, it just won't be as profitable as it will be when the bull eventually comes. So it really doesn't make a difference to us. We want the bear market to carry on for the next year or two so that we have a chance to sell more NFTs and buy more miners. Because the more that we can buy, the better off we're going to be come the next run in a lot of different ways. But if we never get there, that's fine. We'll just carry on with what we've got, and uh, and we'll make it work exactly the same that it would work if we had a built out, completely full farm. The only difference being is that we won't be able to expand as quickly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, so you do have that kind of backup plan if, things don't go as well as planned. Would
Yeah, I don't want to sound bad here, but the plan is the plan, right?
Yes.
It's not really, it doesn't really change in an
Hmm.
extended bear market. It just takes us a little longer to make
Yeah.
some real money here.
Yeah. For the team and for holders, um, do you think the returns would significantly be impacted by something like that happening, right? Because and I don't mean return in dollar value. I'm more speaking return in Kadena. Um, because obviously the goal would be to at least be able to stockpile your Kadena as normal with an extended bear. I think like the bear for real, especially people in DeFi that understand the markets a little bit better, I'd say, than people coming into the space brand new. Um,
Yeah,
People
so
understand.
the ROI, if you're not talking about USD value and
Yes,
you're just talking about ROI in Kadena,
yes.
the bear market has absolutely nothing to do, really, not much,
Hmm.
maybe a little, but not much to do at all with that.
Hmm.
What your return in Kadena is based on the difficulty
Hmm.
rise and how cheap you can get your miner. Um, so that's why I'm refusing to purchase any more miners right now because
Hmm.
we still have a little piece to go here with this new miner coming out on the market. We need to see difficulty level off to a more reasonable standard. For
Hmm.
example, last 6 months, Kadena difficulty has went up 129%, and when you apply a formula to that that shows you what effect that has on your ROI, it has reduced your Kadena earnings in Kadena coin by 55% over 6 months. That's very incredible. It's almost impossible to keep up with, no matter what kind of price you get on the miner.
Yeah.
So it's unsustainable, and that's why I'm so glad that that miner has hit the market now, rather than 3,000 NFT sales from now, or more. So it's a really good thing that this has happened now. Now all that is required is just a little patience. We'll have to let this market do its thing. It'll bring the miner prices down. The
Hmm.
difficulty will level off to a more reasonable level, and then we can acquire miners at a good price and get a good ROI in Kadena terms on those new miners.
Hmm. Definitely makes sense. Sorry. Sorry, I had to sneeze for a second.
That's
Um,
okay.
uh, I was gonna ask. Yeah, so I 100% agree that that is more the deal. Or more, I guess, it's a waiting game. And so how long are you planning? I saw that there was that 6 month time period, right? You had in your white paper. I wasn't 100% sure what you were referring to as far as holding the NFT sale and the NFT. Um, sale funds in the treasury for a minimum of 6 months. I wasn't 100% I guess certain on what you were referring to there.
Well,
Maybe
that's
I
been
misinterpreted.
no, it's been disregarded. So in order to pay in perpetuity, or in order to pay into perpetuity, there's a cost, right? We
Mhm,
have to have a treasury. Otherwise, we'll be put into a point at some point in the future where we have to ask for more money, and that's not why I created this. So, in order to build a treasury, what we first did, and hindsight's 2020, but what we first did is said, well, we're going to we're going to use all the mining proceeds for the first 6 months and put it into treasury. That way, we have a bucket full of KDA going into the bull run, and we can sell that off and have our war chest going into the next bear. But the market decided they didn't like that, so we had to go back to the drawing board, and we've discarded that now, and we've come up with a couple of different unique ways that we're going to build up the treasury. For example, um, we're going to a four-phase system, so the NFTs will sell in four phases, and after phase one is done, there's going to be a 5% markup on all of the NFTs for the rest of the three phases, and all 5% of that is going to go to buy Kadena directly on the market and put it into the treasury.
mhm,
Another thing we're doing is that we're going to be accepting KDA payments, and a portion of that KDA payment will go directly to treasury as opposed to being converted to USDC.
mhm,
So those are two other ways. Along with that, myself and the partners are sacrificing their earnings for 6 months,
mhm.
but we're going to go ahead and start paying out the NFT owners. The only thing that we're waiting on is the transformer to be installed at our permanent facility, and once that's done, approximately 30 days after that point, we'll start payouts to NFTs.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so with that waiting period that you kind of mentioned before, before this piece, that you're planning on not buying any more miners for the time being. If someone, I guess it would be more on when is your NFT collection being launched? I don't believe it is, but I could be wrong.
No,
Um,
we've already launched it. We've sold
okay,
$500,000 worth of NFTs. They're
gotcha.
about a little bit less than that, but we've made one batch of minor purchases. But luckily, I mean, I guess it's kind of luckily that
Hmm.
the permanent farm wasn't ready, so we haven't spent any more of the minor fund, and that's turned out to
Gotcha,
be a really good thing. So now we've got a pot of money. We're just waiting on the prices to iron out.
gotcha.
And there's also a pivot that we can do that it's not necessary to talk about amongst our community yet, but
Hmm.
everybody knows my feelings on this is that we can pivot to Litecoin miners,
Hmm.
whereas their difficulty has went up only 10% in the last six
Hello?
months versus
Yeah.
130 for Kadena. And then we could just take those, convert them to KDA at the market and pay those out. So there's things we can do. We'll just have to wait and see.
Gotcha, for sure. Yeah, and I think that definitely it's kind of like a lucky break that that you
Yeah.
guys had that issue and it ended up paying off in the end. So I guess is there an ETA on when more miners would be purchased? Because obviously, if you guys aren't able to mine right now, it may slow someone down as far as like, hey, I'll wait until I'll wait to purchase the NFT until they're back up and running. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we're patient. We're patient, and if that's the case, look, you're absolutely right. So,
Mhm,
the more sales we make, the more miners we buy, the more we can pay out, the more
mhm,
it causes more sales, right?
mhm,
But at the end of the day, my sole responsibility in this project is to make sure that we don't make the big mistakes that I've made and
mhm,
that many of others have made in the past. And if that costs me sales, then that's
mhm.
okay because I know that at some point in the very near future, when we do kick into high gear, people are going to be very glad that they were patient and
Yes.
they followed the system.
Yes. 100%. I really like that response, and I think you're paying more attention to saving people's money because it's not only your own that is at risk. Now it's
That's
other
right.
people. So you're slowing down the project just a little bit, making sure that everything is in the clear, and then moving forward with it. Once it is. So
That's right.
very very respectful.
I'm a firm believer that truth wins in the end.
Hmm. Yeah. For sure. And I think that the way you're doing it is very, very responsible. And I mean, we have someone, I think someone in the audience also said, yeah, so Gona also said that there it seems responsible the way you guys are trying to build and implement this NFT project. So
Yeah, a lot of
100%.
people have put their trust into me, and I don't, I'm going to do everything within my power to ensure that those that have put their trust in me continue to do so and are glad that they did. And it's not for future NFT sales.
Hmm.
It's just to make sure that I'm taking care of everybody to the best of my ability.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that shows a lot about this, in my opinion, the success of a project is how how much are you willing to, not only because I mean you've shown it through, hey, we're going to burn our funds for the first 6 months, right, to ensure that we're able to continue this. So you've found other ways when the people that are putting their trust in you said that, hey, we don't like this idea, or we don't, and so you found other ways to implement the real important pieces, which are the perpetuity, making sure that we have the funds to do this, and the things that you've learned, while at the same time navigating how can we do this in a way that's going to be best for the users and for the actual people that have put their faith in me to find this solution. So very, very, very respectful. You've taken the community's opinions into account when when dealing with utilizing their funds to continue to expand. So is a very respectable thing for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure, like, as we kind of go forward, do you think that, like, kind of where everything sits right now, do you think that Litecoin mining is in the realm of possibilities, or do you think you'll do your best to stick to Kadena?
Did you say Litecoin mining?
Yes, because I believe you mentioned. Um,
Yeah, well, it's that's the thing about this. Ask me in 2 days, and I may have a different opinion. This market changes so often.
hmm
It's unreal. So I think what we're probably going to do is I'll present the community with a decision to make, and I'll give all the pertinent information. It'll all be factual data, and that way everybody can make an informed decision. And it'll basically be we can do one or two things. All right, we can pivot to Litecoin miners now, and everybody's earnings will be better.
hmm
Or we can continue to sit on the miner fund that we have, which will make everyone's earnings less. But then we can take advantage of the KA3 when it does hit the market, and that will boost everyone's earnings up. So, I
hmm
mean, there's pros and there's cons to each, and we're all in this together. So I like to give the community a say
hmm
in the path that we take, and I like all of that information to be based on facts and not hopium.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It, like I said before, it is a very, very respectable way that you're trying to ensure that the community, at least, because it isn't, it's not your money. It's, I mean, part of it is, but it's not all your money, right? So it's
That's
fair
right.
that the community gets to decide on, hey, we don't like this, right? We don't like the path this is taking. So let us at least give our input, especially as
Absolutely.
things start to change, because the promise is changing at that point, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and I've got to say, love our community that we've
hmm
built over in our Discord. I mean, I've gotten to know a bunch of these guys, and we stay up late nights talking. Sometimes I private message some of them and chat with them because I appreciate their input and their commitment to Kadena
hmm
hashing. So I'm just really pleased with the community that we built, and so they have a lot of trust in me. I have trust in them. So yeah, this is a group effort.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And kind of moving forward, then firstly, did I miss anything that you wanted to chat about as far as the NFTs and everything along that?
Honestly, you've asked some really good questions. I don't. Yeah, this is when really I've really enjoyed this because it's a little bit of a different format.
Awesome. Yeah, I like to change things up. I think AMAs can become a little tedious, so I'd much rather have a good time getting to know who you are, you know, and then start learning about the project a little bit more afterwards. But kind of moving forward, what is the, if you were to say, come back in 10 years, what is the long-term vision for what you want to be and be seen as? For what Kadena hashing is meant to be. Let's say 10 years from now, right? We've come through two other bull runs by then, or maybe more. But what is it real? what is the real goal and purpose behind what you're doing?
I would like to, honestly, I think personally, if we're able to accomplish our goals, and it's an uphill battle getting there, but if we're able to accomplish our goals, I truly believe that Kadena Hashim will be looked back on as one of the most profitable and amazing investment opportunities in one's lifetime. And that's not just because of the bullishness of Kadena, but because of our ability to remain disciplined and make strategic decisions, and not put ourselves first to put everyone else first. So I just want to, I don't want anybody to to remember me for anything. I don't care about me. I want to make sure that our people are happy with their decision at the end of the day.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what makes
awesome.
me feel good. That's what I don't need praise. I don't need any of this other stuff. I love making money. Money is making money to me is fun, dude. I do it. Honest to God, it's like a passion of mine. I just like to see the number go up. You know, so
I
that's
feel you.
really fun to me, and I'm doing something I love, and now all these people have put their trust in me, and it's just it makes me feel really good at night when, like, for example, I go into the Discord and somebody says, hey man, you did a bang up job, or this was a great decision, or that stuff. It really makes me feel good about what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm sure the community really, really appreciates, uh, what you guys are doing. And would you mind actually afterwards dropping a link to, uh, or actually, let me see if I can drop the link to your Discord, and then they can, I guess, get all the information for them from there.
Yeah, for
Let me.
sure. We have a very helpful community. Anybody has any questions, pop over there, and they'll be happy to jump in. And if you got anything you need me to answer, I'm happy to jump in as well.
Awesome. And then, do you guys, if there are any other questions, I posted the Discord link in the AMA questions, but if you guys have any other questions, let us know now, or hold your peace. We got started a little late because I know you had a little bit to go through with your daughter and
She
all the
actually just
hassle through
stopped
today.
screaming about 20 minutes ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Um, yeah. So if you guys do have any other questions, it's okay if we go a couple minutes late. That it's 100% all right. But since we we got started a little bit late, but I think like I've asked most of what I have, and I'm most impressed, I think, by the route you're taking and the fact that most people don't take the community into the project enough, and for some things that makes sense, right? For a straight business that makes sense, but you're taking a different approach when you're operating miners that you're using straight funds to pay for. It is a little bit different than business where you're offering your own services, because you are offering some services, but again, it'd be different if it was completely your own, and people were getting some kind of revenue from it, or along those lines. And in that case, 100% it is your thing, because you know the best. But when you're dealing with other people's money, it becomes a little bit more complicated. So I think that that is one of the biggest pieces that I'm taking away from this, is the fact that you are very, very much paying attention to, hey, here are the facts. This is what, and you might have your own opinions, right? But here are the facts. It is up to the community to kind of take the facts and think about, what they want to do with their. And I think that that piece is super, super important when you're dealing with this.
That's right, and just to add to that, I won't present the community with any option that I've not already thoroughly vetted. Right,
hmm
so the options that will be presented is a matter of decision. It's like, do you want to wait or do you want to do this?
hmm
And that's completely up to them. And if anything, so a lot of people said, no, we don't want. Don't let us make the decision. We don't know what we're doing. But the fact is that everybody, well, I hope everybody can read, right? And it's all very factual math, and that's
hmm
what mining comes down to, is mathematics and patience,
Yeah.
and just making
hmm
those strategic decisions. So yeah, for sure, my community is a big part of my life now. So I truly value their input.
hmm and hearing that, like, I know for projects like, I don't know if you're familiar, but like Neo Masterpiece, for example, right, with the films, bringing films to the blockchain. Um, they like, I had a conversation that kind of remind, like what you just said, kind of remind me of it. like, hey, we have, they're like, if they're picking actors for a role, right? They have three different actors, and these are all very good people that would fit the role very well. And then they go to their community. Hey, just like you are talking about, you're bringing these two options that either one could be very beneficial. It really just
That's right.
depends what the community. You're not going to bring up, hey, what do you guys want to do? Open ended. You know,
Exactly. Yeah, no,
yeah,
exactly.
you're giving them two profitable and two understandable and probably the two best solutions that are really just a choice of, hey, do we want to take our returns now and have a little bit lower on long term, or hey, do we want to hold off and possibly have a higher long term return? So I think that part is really awesome. And Gon said he said that you know a ton, but you're not a know it all. You take other insights on things and use it for the benefit of everybody. You got to respect it, and that's very very true. So um yeah, I like everything that we've kind of spoken about and I've heard about, the process that you go about. And I'm excited to see what Kadena does or Kadena hashing does and Kadena itself and what the blockchain does. I the last piece, I will actually also post this white paper link after this, but last question I really had to ask is what made you most bullish on Kadena uh, in the beginning? Because obviously your project is very much tied to it.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Honestly, the that, okay, I knew nothing about Kadena. I'm gonna be frank
Mhm,
with you. A year ago, Kadena was not even on my radar, and my supplier. I was looking to diversify in my own miner setup, and my
mhm.
supplier hit me and said, "Hey, we've got this KD5. It's going for I think it was $11,000 or something." And I was like, okay. So I looked into it. I looked into the. All I did was look at the chart. I didn't even
Mhm.
research Kadena that much at the time. And I said, look, that's fine. I'll take a chance on it. So I bought the miner, and then I mean, like a month later, this thing was spitting out $500 bills every day. You know, and I was like, well, just what in the world is going on? So of course, then it piqued my interest, and there's nothing like a good chunk of money to pique one's interest. Um, so then my research began, and here I am a year later, and I'm a giant. Like I said, if you're bullish on blockchain, you have to be bullish on Kadena because it's basically the only one out there that can do um, what all the other blockchains aspire to do. So yeah, it's just a matter of adoption now, and it is relatively high risk because we're still in that baby stage,
Mhm,
but sometimes you just got to believe, sometimes
mhm.
you just got to believe. Kadena is by far my largest bag.
Awesome, awesome. That's good to hear. You're putting your money where your mouth is. So
Absolutely.
definitely very, very awesome to hear. But yeah, I really, really appreciate you for hopping on and chatting with us. And I'm sure we'll have you on again, especially especially once you start getting that decision out. I'd love to have you on again on, what and not only, Litecoin versus Kadena, but when those next miners are released and you guys start purchasing those up, because that would be really awesome to kind of get your takes at that point. I think things will definitely be a little different on the difficulty and that'll be
Yeah,
a good next meeting. But thank you so
for
much
sure,
for
man.
coming on.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I'd love to circle back. Just to let everybody know that's listening, our white paper it's really good. It's a good read, but it will be being updated in the next couple of weeks or so. So there's going to be a lot of, not a lot, but some changed elements and some new
Hmm.
elements added in there. But as it sits right now, it's still a really good read. Just know that the 6 month lockup is gone. And we're also launching a new website soon. We have developments underway. A lot of the elements of it is already done. So we're just waiting on a couple of little final tweaks to put that out there. And then at the end of each phase, we're going to give away 200,000. Sorry, 500,000. I'm sorry again, $50,000 four times. So $200,000 in total, 50,000 at the end of each phase, and that will be in either KDA or the equivalent NFT to a number of winners. We haven't decided exactly how we're going to divvy that out yet, but I think the first one is going to be 51K winners. So buying an NFT gets a ticket in the draw, and That ought to be exciting and should reverberate throughout the space. I'm not seeing anyone give away $200,000 yet, but we're happy to do it to instantly ROI 50 people. That'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out. No matter what, I would say definitely do your own research. Check out their Discord and look at the white paper because if you are interested now, always important to do that. But definitely someone to follow along and at least keep in touch with on their journey forward. So yeah, thank you so much again, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciated, Chris. I love your format and your questions. It was really fun.
Thank you, thank you. Have a good one.
Okay, bud. You too.